Hello everybody, I'm going to read my book. I'm Blackberry Fairy, and this is Blackberry Fairy of Faeriedale by M.G. Trehern. This book is dedicated to the lovely memory of my loving cat Dumbledore, who passed away November 10th, 2018. May we meet again. They say fairies are happy and whimsical beings existing out of the sight of humans. But what are they really like? Some fairies are kind and others are not, but they all are a part of the fairy ring. What is the fairy ring, you ask? It is a sacred place of the fairies where all who enter are friends and they come to honor each other. The fairy ring in the village of Faeriedale is the oldest in all the lands. Not a single lie can be told within the ring, as a spell of the fairy ring prevents falsehoods from being spoken there. Every full moon, the fairies dance around the fairy ring to celebrate the changing of the seasons and share their blessings with Mother Nature. Faeriedale is a small village beside a gentle rolling river. There are many kinds of fairies who live there in Faeriedale. Some fairies talk to plants and animals and help them to grow, while other fairies create clothes, enchanted oils, and magical gems and music. At Faeriedale Day School, young fairies learn about magic, nature, and how to fly. The most popular fairy in the school is Isidelle. She is a beautiful fairy with curly red hair and shiny pink wings. Isidelle has dozens of friends, and she can fly the highest in her class. Everyone loves Isidelle, but her popularity has also made her spoiled and unkind to other fairies. The most unpopular fairy is Blackberry Fairy. She has short hair, well, I did. Small feathery baby-like wings, well, I did. Blackberry is hoping that someday her wings will be just as big and beautiful as Isidelle's. Blackberry is considered unpopular because the other fairies think she is weird. Some fairies make fun of her dark-colored clothes, her shabby wings, and her ability to talk to spiders, birds, and cats, and not to mention her mysterious origins. Blackberry was orphaned the day she was born. She was found at midnight on a full moon underneath a blackberry bramble, near the house of Faeriedale and Aria's lavender farm. Faeriedale and Aria were much older than the other fairies in Faeriedale. They had wished to have a child of their own for many years, but they were never blessed with one. When nobody claimed the baby, they adopted her and raised her as their own. Blackberry is a free-spirited fairy who likes to sing, draw, and craft fairy crowns, and frolic. She draws whimsical circles and shapes when she is bored, in her favorite colors of purple, blue, and black. Blackberry's best friend is Lilith the spider, whose web still hangs in the bramble where Blackberry was found. Lilith taught Blackberry how to speak to spiders, and Aria's cat, Onyx, taught Blackberry how to understand cats. On the first day of school, Lilith and Onyx joined Blackberry on her walk to school. Since they were not fairy folk, they could not go into the school with Blackberry on her first day. Blackberry was so nervous that she stopped suddenly and stood firmly planted outside and beside the sign that hung outside the school. Without warning, she began to hiccup uncontrollably. Lilith, genuinely concerned for Blackberry, hopped up on her shoulder and she's hopped off of Blackberry's shoulder and onto a signpost. She faced Blackberry and tried to reassure her that there was nothing to be nervous about. Onyx purred lovingly at Blackberry's feet in agreement. Blackberry picked up Onyx and kissed her on the cheek. After she put Onyx down, Blackberry reached into her pockets and pulled out a small bottle of lavender oil and placed a drop of it on her hands. And then she rubbed her hands together and cupped them over her nose and mouth. She deeply inhaled the calming scent of distilled lavender oil, which came from her family's farm. Calm yourself, child, and take it easy. You'll be fine. Just be kind to everyone and pay attention to your teachers, Lilith advised lovingly. Look at all the beautiful wings, Blackberry said in awe. My wings are too small, and I won't be able to fly like the others. Do the best that you can. Your wings will grow bigger in time. I'm sure of it. Now, off you go. You don't want to be late, Lilith remarked. See you after school? Blackberry asked hopefully. Yes, we'll be waiting for you by the blackberry bramble. We love you, dear, Lilith said as Onyx meowed in agreement. Blackberry turned towards the school to see Isobel and the group of popular girls staring at her in disgust. Isobel looked at Blackberry and then whispered to her friends, upon which they laughed and pointed at Blackberry. She became very nervous with hiccups again. The bell rang, and all the fairies went into school. Blackberry's first day of school did not go well at all. She nervously stuttered while saying her name when she introduced herself. When she was assigned her wand, all the other fairies were able to cast the first spell, but she was not able to cast a single enchantment. The first spell is an easy spell that helps fairies understand where their magic comes from. When cast correctly, a fairy's wand is supposed to shower a rainbow of fairy dust. Blackberry tried and tried, but nothing happened. When Isobel saw her fail, she laughed at her. Blackberry began to hiccup uncontrollably again. During Share and Learn hour, the students sat in a circle and shared with the class what skills they already had. When Blackberry got up to talk about her skills, she said she could speak to spiders, birds, and cats. Isobel commented loudly, "Ew, you talk to spiders?" "Yes, my best friend is a spider," Blackberry said. "That's weird. Spiders are scary. That makes you scary, Blackberry." Isobel laughed. "Ha ha, scary Blackberry." The teacher scolded Isobel, but it was too late. Everyone in the class thought she was scary and weird. By lunchtime, the whole school was calling her Scary Blackberry. During lunch, Blackberry sat alone underneath a tree, far away from others. As she was eating her cheese tarts her mother made for her, a friendly fairy dressed in green with green big wings, named Sunflower, asked if she could sit with Blackberry. Happily, she invited Sunflower to join her. Sunflower told Blackberry that she didn't think that she was weird and wanted to be friends. Blackberry was so happy that she shared one of her cheese tarts with Sunflower. When lunch was over, Sunflower said she'd hoped to see Blackberry in the fairy ring ceremony that night. Blackberry Fairy told her she always goes because her parents organized the event. Later that day, on her way home, Blackberry heard screaming coming from the blackberry bramble by her farm. She saw several of the popular fairies running away laughing. Fearing for Lilith's safety, she rushed over to see what the fuss was about. When she arrived, she found Isobel on the ground, tangled and thrashing in Lilith's web. Isobel was covered in Lilith's spider web. Onyx had arched up her back and was hissing at Isobel. Lilith was standing very still on one of the branches, horrified that her home had just been ruined. Blackberry looked at Lilith, and then back at Isobel, trying to figure out what had happened. She tried to grab me, and the other girls freaked out when she tripped and fell into the blackberry bramble and into my web. The other girls ran away laughing, Lilith explained. Her friends are rude. Why did you try to grab Lilith? Blackberry asked Isobel. I thought you said that spiders were scary. I didn't try to grab it. I just was showing my friends what you were talking to, Isobel says. Yes, she tried to grab her, Onyx explained. Yes, that girl tried to grab me. And she ruined my home, Lilith said in a huff. Lilith and Onyx say that you tried to grab her, Blackberry said to Isobel. Who's Lilith and Onyx? Isobel asked. Well, the spider is Lilith and the cat is Onyx. They say you tried to grab Lilith, Blackberry explained. Well, I wanted to show my friends how scary she was, Isobel said. Lilith's not scary. She's quite friendly. If you don't ruin her home, Blackberry explained. Blackberry offered to help Isobel out of the webbing. Blackberry let Lilith crawl onto her hand and show how sweet Lilith was. Sorry, we have a stuck page. Pause for technical difficulty. There we go. Blackberry let Lilith crawl into her hand and showed her how sweet Lilith was, and asked Isobel to apologize for ruining her home. Grudgingly, Isobel apologized. Lilith bowed and accepted her apology, even though she didn't wholly believe it. Then Blackberry asked why she made fun of her at school today. Lilith did not like hearing this. She made fun of you? Apology not accepted, Lilith cried out as Onyx hissed and exposed her claws. Yes, she called me Scary Blackberry, and now the whole school is calling me that, Blackberry explained. Why? Lilith demanded. Yes, why? Blackberry asked Isobel. Why what? Isobel replied. Why did you make fun of me and call me Scary Blackberry? She asked. Because you're weird. And you talk to spiders, and you dress strange, and your wings are stubby, and you have no parents, and spiders are scary, and well, Isobel said smugly, it rhymes. You know, smuggling rhymes with ugly. Maybe people should call her Ugly Isobel. Onyx comment really. Hopefully you can hear me. Onyx, that wasn't very nice, Blackberry said with a frown to Onyx. I know, but she deserves it, Onyx replied. That's not helping, Onyx, Blackberry said before looking back to speak to Isobel. We're gonna pause. I think they're done. Okay. That's not helping, Onyx, Blackberry said before looking back to speak to Isobel. I do have parents, Isobel. My parents are Aria and Faeriedale. They found me on this very spot and adopted me. They say I am a blessing and a wish come true. Aria is my mom and Faeriedale is my dad. Why are you so mean? I showed you that spiders are not scary. I can't help it if my wings are stubby. If I looked and dressed like you, would I be less weird? No, because you're just weird. You will always be weird, Faeriedale said. Lilith spoke very rapidly to Blackberry. What is your pet saying? Faeriedale asked. Lilith isn't my pet. She's one of my friends. She said, if everybody looked the same, everything would be dull. She also says that being weird isn't a bad thing. It's an awesome one. It makes me unique and one of a kind. She asked if you can sing, draw, or talk to birds or cats. Blackberry asked. No. Why? Faeriedale asked. Because I can. Blackberry said proudly. I may not be as pretty as you, or as popular as you. I may not be as able to fly as well as you, or easily create magic from my wand, but I can sing, and I can draw, and I can talk to spiders, birds, and cats. I'm kind to everyone and everything I meet, even if they don't deserve it. Isabel thought about what Blackberry had said. Blackberry helped her up and helped remove the webbing from Isabel's hair. When they were finished, Blackberry introduced her to her friend, a golfing cockatoo named Cookie. Cookie had flown over from the perch on the house to see what was going on. Cookie had very few feathers, and she looked ragged. However, she could fly better than most of her kind. I wish that you could accept me for who I am. I'm not mean to you. I wish that you were not mean to me. Is that fair? Blackberry asked. Yes. I'm sorry. I was mean to you, Isabel said humbly, and she apologized for making fun of her. Lilith suggested that she speak this truth in the fairy ring. Arya called Blackberry in for supper. They said goodbye to each other and went on their way. That night, when the moon was full and bright, the fairy folk of Faeriedale gathered around the fairy ring to celebrate the new season. Blackberry sat on a bench at the edge of the fairy ring, with Lilith and Cookie on her shoulders and Onyx at her feet. She watched the other fairies dance and share their blessings. Bored with the ceremony and distracted by her thoughts, Blackberry turned away from the ring to draw circles in the dirt with her wand. She let her creativity flow, and her mind wander to happy memories and positive thoughts. Suddenly, swirls of purple and pink fairy dust sparked out of her wand. Blackberry's eyes lit up with glee. It wasn't the first spell, but it was a spark. An older fairy told Blackberry that wands were for magic and not for doodling in the dirt. She respectfully put it away, even though she was happy to see her magic come to life at last. She got up and stepped away from the others who watched the ceremony. She decided she was going to try and get her wings to fly. As the ceremony drew close, Faeriedale walked over to the center of the ring and called upon anyone who still wanted to speak that night. A couple of fairies stepped forth into the fairy ring and spoke truthfully to one another and resolved conflicts. Upon leaving, each fairy would bow to each other and show their gratitude to one another before parting. Faeriedale stepped into the ring and whispered in Faeriedale's ear. He looked around the circle for Blackberry, who was out of sight behind the crowd. Blackberry, Blackberry, are you here? Faeriedale called. Blackberry was surprised to hear her name, and she timidly stepped into the fairy ring. As she walked towards her father and Isobel, she began to hiccup. She reached inside her pocket for lavender oil, but realized she had left it at home. "Yes," she said, hiccuping. "Father, Isobel has something she wants to say to you," Faeriedale explained. Blackberry covered her mouth, trying to stifle her hiccups. Her hands were still covered in lavender from earlier in that day. The smell of the lavender hit her nose with glee, and a wave of calm washed over her. Her hiccups gradually subsided, and Isobel spoke with her father. "I want to tell you that I'm sorry," Isobel said quietly. "You are going to have to speak louder so that everyone may hear you," Faeriedale said, placing his hands on Isobel's shoulder. "I'm so sorry," Isobel said louder than before. "I am sorry I made fun of you. You are not scary. I promise to always be kind to you." "Thank you. But what about the other fairies?" Blackberry asked. "Yes, I promise always to be kind to all the fairies everywhere, no matter what. All fairies are unique and remarkable. I am glad we are not the same," Isobel said honestly. "Thank you," Blackberry replied. The girls bowed to one another with gratitude and acceptance. They also bowed to Faeriedale in respect, and Isobel bowed to Lilith, Cookie, and Onyx as well. As she headed towards the edge of the circle, she saw her friend Sunflower waiting for her. Suddenly, Blackberry felt that the ceremony had more meaning to her than before. The drums seemed to beat more rhythmically than before, and the fairies seemed to dance more festively around and in the fairy ring than before. Blackberry felt renewed and happy to be unique, one of a kind. Giggling and excited, she made up a song about herself, which went to the rhythm of the drums. Merrily she sang it to her friends, Lilith, Onyx, Cookie, and Sunflower. The end. Blackberry Fairy Song. A merry little fairy Blackberry I am. A merry little fairy Blackberry I am. I am a fairy from Faeriedale. I live down the river from Faeriedale. Lilith, my friend, she's little and strange. She spins a web of silken chains. Onyx, my friend, she purrs so well. Cookie sings like a nightingale. Sunflower, my friend, is nice to me. Her lantern glows so brightly. Aria, my mother, is my mother, you see. With Faeriedale they adopted me. Underneath a shrub so merry was born a girl named Blackberry Fairy. A merry little fairy Blackberry I am. A merry little fairy Blackberry I am. Thank you. It was a pleasure. Soon you will learn how my shrubby little wings got to be so big in my next story called Blackberry Fairy Makes a Wish. Hopefully it will be printed this summer. Thank you for listening to me as I stumble through my book with my lovely voice. Hope to see you at Fair this year. You can get my book at lulu.com or visit blackberryfairy.com to click on the link. Thank you and have a nice day. Fare thee well. Okay, time to get up.